Hello and welcome to Mr. Manley History Teacher's latest video on how to answer a government and politics 24-mark ideologies question. Now, I have already made a video giving advice and guidance on how to answer a 30-mark essay question. If you click on the link in the top right corner of the screen now, that link will take you to my video on how to answer a 30-mark essay question. So let's get started with how to answer a 24-mark ideologies question. So the 24-mark ideologies question is in section B of paper 1, and the question will start with to what extent, and you will only have about half an hour to answer this question. And like the 30-mark essay question, you also need to make sure you include knowledge and understanding for A01, analysis for A02, and evaluation for A03. So A01 knowledge and understanding includes showing knowledge and understanding, as the words would suggest, about political institutions, about the way that certain political laws work and certain methods operate within the political sphere. So that comes under A01. A02 analysis is making links between different concepts and ideas, and also developing your explanations behind why certain things happen in the political world. And A03 evaluation basically means having a consistent line of argument and giving lots of judgments throughout your essay answers. So the question will pretty much be as follows: to what extent do conservatives or socialists or liberals agree or disagree about either human nature, society, the state, or the economy? Now, I thoroughly recommend that you, in preparation for your ideologies question, create something that looks like this on the right hand side of the video. It's an ideologies grid, and we've got liberalism, socialism, conservatism, the three core ideologies that you'll be asked about in your assessment. And then down the left hand side, we've got the four concepts. So we've got human nature, the state, the economy, society, the four categories. And what you should really aim to do as part of your revision, really useful tip, is basically to write down as much as you can remember about liberalism's attitude towards the state or the economy or society, or socialism's attitudes or different attitudes towards the state, the economy, society, and same for conservatism. Write out how much you can remember, and then have a look back at your notes or different sources of information, and then fill in the blank spaces on your grid. That's a really useful technique used to basically recap and fill in any gaps of in your knowledge on the different ideologies and the different concepts that they're connected with. Don't forget, in your 24-mark ideologies question, you need to include key thinkers in the main body of your answer, and we'll touch on that in a few minutes' time as well. And you need to make sure you identify the key areas of similarities and differences within each of the strands that you plan to discuss in your answer. So liberalism, socialism, conservatism, they've all got within them different beliefs and ideas about human nature and the state and the economy and society. So you need to make sure you understand those differences before you approach and before you answer the 24-mark ideologies question. So for your answer, in your introduction, you need to consider the key terms in the question, you need to think about the key areas of debate, and you need to make sure, and this is probably the most important point for your introduction, that you get across straight away what your line of argument is going to be throughout your essay. That's absolutely vital, because if you don't include that in your introduction, you're already not showing any A03 evaluation from the start. When it comes to your main body, you need to try and aim to write 3 paragraphs. Now, this is really tricky because you've only got 30 minutes to write the entire answer. So your introduction should really only take you about 3 or 4 minutes. Your main body should really take you around about 25 minutes, and then your conclusion should be about 2 or 3 minutes again. So timing is really difficult, and my main piece of advice is just to really practice writing ideologies questions in the time you have available, because you have 30 minutes for the ideologies 24-mark question, but you have 45 minutes for the 30-mark essay question. So A real tip for me is to make sure you practice when it comes to ideologies questions. You need to make sure that you get across, like I mentioned already in my top tips on a previous slide, that you point out the extent of similarity and difference within each ideology. Your supporting evidence needs to include relevant key thinkers as well. If you don't name any key thinkers for the specific ideology that you're answering the question on, that's going to lose you A01 Knowledge and Understanding marks. Okay, so you need to make sure you do include key thinkers. And you need to give a mini judgment, and sometimes I call them interim conclusions. On my last video for 30 mark essays, I refer to them as interim conclusions. You need to make sure you write mini judgments or interim conclusions on which side of the debate is more convincing and link that back to the question. And it should be clear throughout each of your paragraphs what side of the debate you find more convincing and link it back to the question. So you need to make sure this is running throughout your whole essay answer. Finally, we've got the conclusion, and you need to consider the following when you're writing the conclusion. So what is your summary judgment? What's your overall judgment? What concepts or elements of the strands have led you to this view? What could be a potential counter judgment? Now, this is a nice to have rather than need to have, I'd say, because time could be running really short by this stage of your answer. And why is your judgment superior to the counter argument? Again, if you can include this in your conclusion, excellent. If not, the first question is the most important that you've answered in your conclusion. So what is your overall judgment? That is absolutely vital you get that across in your conclusion. I hope this video helps. If you enjoyed it, click on the like button and subscribe to my channel, Mr. Manny History Teacher.